first day of summer in 1975 arrived after a turbulent 12-year period in American history. From the assassination of John F. Kennedy to the fall of Saigon, the country had been put through the ringer as the largest generation came of age. Movies had changed too, reflecting this shift. The era of the anti-hero had replaced westerns and musicals, with the brooding intensity of Marlon Brando's Godfather supplanting the straightforward heroism of John Wayne. Julie Andrews, who once charmed audiences in The Sound of Music, now appeared in thrillers like The Tamarind Seed, while Audrey Hepburn had left musical comedy roles for the suspense of Wait Until Dark before a temporary disappearance from the screen altogether. America was hungry for a new hero, something to cheer for. And in the summer of 1975, a then unknown director named Steven Spielberg delivered with the first summer blockbuster. Audiences went to theaters, were afraid to go into the water, and loved every minute of it. The film Jaws is a suspense and horror classic directed by Steven Spielberg, based on the novel by Peter Benchley. The story is set in the fictional New England resort town of Amity Island, where a series of deadly shark attacks terrorizes beachgoers during the busy summer season. Police Chief Martin Brody wants to close the beaches, but the town's mayor, fearing the loss of tourist revenue, overrules him. After a young boy is killed in another attack, Brody, along with a knowledgeable marine biologist named Matt Hooper and a grizzled, eccentric shark hunter named Quint, embark on a dangerous mission to hunt and kill the massive great white shark. The second half of the film is a tense and action-packed hunt at sea aboard Quint's boat, the Orca. Three men, each with different motivations and personalities, are forced to confront the powerful and seemingly indestructible shark. The climax of the movie features an epic battle that results in Quint's death and Brody's ultimate victory, as he manages to kill the shark by shooting a scuba tank in its mouth, causing it to explode. The film ends with Brody and Hooper, the two survivors, swimming back to shore. Before 1975, the summer months were considered a quiet time for movie releases. Even with air-conditioned theaters, people were focused on outdoor activities like swimming, picnics, and baseball. Major films from the early 1970s, such as The Godfather and The Exorcist, were all released during the colder months of winter and spring. But that all changed with Jaws, the first true summer blockbuster. It proved to studios that a summer release could yield massive profits. This new strategy quickly became the norm, and from 1977 on, with the release of films like Star Wars, summer became the most important season for big-budget movies. With few exceptions, a summer release date has been the sign of a studio's confidence in a film's potential for huge commercial success. Beyond changing the movie release schedule, Jaws also represented a hinge point in Hollywood's tone. The first half of the 1970s had moved away from feel-good movies, instead producing gritty, somber, and cynical films. The era was defined by films like 1970's Love Story, a tragic romance about a terminal illness, and 1971's Billy Jack, a gritty vigilante film. The trend continued in 1972 with The Godfather and in 1973 with The Exorcist, which was the highest-grossing film before Jaws. But with the release of Jaws, Hollywood returned to the classic adventure story of man versus nature, a direct contrast to the grim counterculture films of the era. However, the film wasn't a complete feel-good romp, as evidenced by the brutal death of Robert Shaw's Quint. After Chief Brody defeats the shark and conquers his fear of the water, the cultural mood of the late 1970s shifts dramatically. The second half of the decade gave us hugely successful feel-good films like Rocky, Star Wars, Superman, and Grease. Jaws had helped America find a collective outlet for its anxieties and a return to escapism. Perhaps the renewed optimism of the 1980s truly began with the defeat of a great white shark. The ferry scene in Jaws is often cited as a masterclass in directorial suspense, a topic explored by many other video creators. Instead of rehashing that well-trodden ground, I want to explore a different, less discussed element of this scene: the omnipresence of Amity's oligarchy and its role in the unfolding tragedy. An oligarchy, which literally means rule by the few, is a form of government where power is concentrated in the hands of a small elite group. We often associate this system with national governments, but it can also exist at the city or local level. In this scene, the city's medical examiner officially changes the cause of Chrissy's death from a shark attack to a boating accident, clearly under pressure from a higher authority. The reason for this lie is simple. If the beaches are closed, tourists will go elsewhere. The summer of 1975 was poised to be a boom for tourism, with the 4th of July falling on a Friday and giving people more freedom to travel. For the wealthy elite of Amity, who were already counting their profits, closing the beaches was an unacceptable financial loss. While oligarchs may only have one vote like you and me, their money gives them a different kind of political power. The mayor's campaign, for example, likely depends on the donations from hotel and restaurant owners. If he doesn't keep the beaches open and those business owners lose money, their campaign donations will likely go to his opponent. His political survival, therefore, depends on keeping the business owners happy. In Jaws, it's the same group of oligarchs who pressure Chief Brody to keep the beaches open and coerces the coroner to falsify his report on Chrissy's death. In my university studies, a professor used the 1986 Space Shuttle Challenger failure as a cautionary tale about succumbing to the pressure from authority. Engineers at Morton Thiokol, the company that built the shuttle's solid rocket boosters, had warned NASA that the O-ring joints would fail in the freezing weather. They even presented data from previous cold weather launches showing that the parts were compromised. But managers at Thiokol, fearing the loss of a major government contract, overruled the engineers. They listened to the dollars and ignored the experts. As a result, 7 astronauts paid for their decision with their lives. As my professor reminded us, it's easy to make ethical decisions when you're a college student with nothing to lose. The true test of character comes when someone with power and authority can threaten your livelihood. In this system, Chief Brody is forced by the mayor to keep the beaches open, and the medical examiner is pressured to falsify a report, all for the sake of tourist revenue. This is a clear display of the oligarchy's power. The overarching lesson of Jaws is that when a small, powerful group misuses its influence for financial gain, it can lead to catastrophic consequences for everyone. The real-life story of the USS Indianapolis is a harrowing incident that Quint's monologue in Jaws draws from directly. I encourage you to read the full account for yourself, as it's truly a remarkable and tragic tale. It's the only shark attack on record with more than 4 victims, but it involved multiple sharks. While it is believed that up to 150 sailors were lost to the sharks, some historical accounts suggest that many of the victims were already dead or close to death from exposure and dehydration, making them unable to defend themselves. In Jaws, the great white shark claims 5 human victims: Chrissy, Alex Kittner, Ben Gardner, the man on the boat in the estuary, and Quint. The number exceeds the real-world record for a single shark, which is 4 confirmed fatalities. This incident, which occurred in New Jersey in 1916, is a grim historical footnote. What's even more telling is the stark difference between fact and fiction. None of the real victims were eaten. 3 of the 4 died from fatal blood loss after coming back on shore, while the body of the 4th victim was recovered nearly intact. In real life, unprovoked shark attacks are incredibly rare, with only about 6 deaths reported worldwide each year. A disproportionate number of these incidents occur in or near Florida. In some cases, the sharks were even provoked by humans and were acting in self-defense. Statistically, you have a far greater chance of winning the lottery than being killed by a shark. Jaws and its sequels portrayed sharks as fearsome predators, a depiction that is believed to have fueled the overhunting and overfishing of these animals. Since the film's release, shark populations worldwide have declined. Sharks are apex predators that primarily prey on seals and other aquatic mammals, and if these predators disappear, the entire food chain can collapse. This can lead to an overpopulation of seals and other mammals, which compete with humans for fish, potentially causing food shortages. Given the vital role sharks play in our ecosystem, it's best to admire these magnificent creatures from a distance and allow them to fulfill the role that nature intended. The iconic score for Jaws earned legendary composer John Williams his first Academy Award for Best Original Score. While it wasn't his first time working with Steven Spielberg, Jaws stands out as the film where Williams' orchestral score essentially became a character itself, personifying the unseen terror lurking beneath the waves. The production of Jaws was plagued with problems, most notably the unreliable mechanical shark, nicknamed Bruce after Steven Spielberg's lawyer. The constant breakdowns left producers with unusable footage, sending the production over budget and behind schedule in an era before computer-generated imagery. This crisis forced a creative solution. Composer John Williams' score would stand in for the shark. For much of the first half of the film, from Chrissy's initial encounter to the estuary scene, the orchestra itself became an unseen predator. This brilliant choice gave us the ominous point-of-view shots accompanied by a now legendary 2-note sequence, which has since become synonymous with sharks. This brilliant creative choice not only saved the production, but also catapulted John Williams to superstardom. It's easy to imagine someone at the premiere joking, "You're going to need a bigger bank account." By the end of the 1970s, Williams' success on Jaws made him one of Hollywood's most sought-after composers, setting the stage for a legendary career. The orchestral theme from Jaws achieved something unusual for a film score. It became a top 40 pop hit. This was no fluke for John Williams. He repeated this impressive feat just 3 years later with the title theme for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In a remarkable parallel, his son Joseph also found chart success, penning the song Pamela during his time as the lead singer for the band Toto. While both father and son have a top 40 hit to their name, John Williams' achievement is particularly notable for reaching the charts with an instrumental piece of film music. Even 50 years later, Jaws remains an entertaining and deeply personal watch for me. I first related to it as a child during the many fishing trips with my father, grandfather, uncles, and cousins. We bonded as a family during these fond trips, whether we caught fish or not. Today, these movies evoke those cherished memories and stirs up feelings of affection for loved ones who are no longer with us. Jaws will forever remain a landmark film in the cinematic lexicon. It not only served as a breakout film for one of Hollywood's most celebrated directors, but also taught the industry that the summer could be a blockbuster season. Beyond its commercial success, the film offered audiences a much-needed escape from a difficult era and reminded us of our need for real heroes. But it is also a powerful cautionary tale, a warning to respect nature and to prioritize safety over financial and political gain. Thank you for watching. In my next video, I'll be discussing another Spielberg creature feature, Jurassic Park. The film raises a profound question. Just because we can, does that mean we should? It's a lesson we all need to learn. After that, I'll be diving into a classic sci-fi film that my father wouldn't let me see as a boy, Logan's Run. I hope you'll join me for both. Please hit the subscribe button so that you will not miss any of our upcoming features.
Oh,